So I want to introduce Noelle Garcia. Noelle is with EQ Saints. Some of you may have heard of her. I had heard her name before she was with EQ Saints, but she is going to be one of the speakers at Holy Fire when it's here in Atlanta. And if you were on the call a few minutes ago when she mentioned she is a mom who has taken kids to Holy Fire. So she is just going to walk us through what the day is like and her perspective as a parent bringing a child. So
Yeah.
go ahead. Thanks.
So thank you, Elaine. So yes, my name is Noelle Garcia. I do ministry. I'm the director of programs for EQ Saints. I've done a number of projects with Steubenville. I speak at Steubenville conferences. I'm the co-host for the new Symbolon with Augustine Institute from forum.org. So just a lot of projects. And so I've seen a lot of events and a lot of ministry. And this is one of my favorite because I feel like we as a church haven't had the bandwidth to really serve this particular age group. And that became really apparent as I became a mom, right? So before I share my experience, let me introduce my other team members. So I have Annie Keogh, who you have met. Annie, do you want to say a couple things, a couple words?
Yeah, so Annie Keogh, I reside in the Dallas area. Excited to be on this call with y'all. And I am the director of resources for EQ Saints, and I serve as the logistical lead for all things logistics, Holy Fire, working with the sites, registration to lunch to reconciliation, all those kinds of things behind the scenes, not on the main stage. So, and then Molly.
Yeah, I'm Molly Weir. I'm in Nashville, but I am customer relations. So mainly any registration questions or hiccups, anything like that, those questions are all directed to me. So if you have any registration questions in the future, I will be responding to you.
Thanks, Molly and Annie. So yeah, I had spoken at Holy Fires before. There's generally the number ranges from 500 to 8,000. The Holy Fires are all over the place in size, but our goal is to reach as many middle schoolers and invite them to make a personal commitment to the Lord, as many as we can. Last year, I brought my own kids. We started a Holy Fire here in Oklahoma City, and my oldest was going through a really difficult time. He told me he wanted to be a non-practicing heathen. I said, "What does that mean?" He goes, "Well, I won't do anything bad, but I just won't go to church." So and he had had a rough time with some bullying, really difficult situation. At Holy Fire was a turning point for him. I will get emotional talking about it. And it's not because of me having anything to do with this. It was the people that he was invited to meet during this event, the people that were in the group of kids that he didn't know really well, but the group of kids that came with him, that prayed with him, that celebrated with him, that he had this experience of being accepted and loved that he had a hard time finding in his other peer groups in our neighborhood, and just things like that, where there was a lot of bullying issues. Anytime we pass by the building now where there was Holy Fire, all my kids say, "Bye, Holy Fire," because it just was a turning point in my kids' lives. So I believe in this. I'm excited about it, and we're so excited to bring it to Atlanta. The movement of the day focuses on, we spend a lot of time right at the beginning with preparation, and that is getting kids excited and help them to get comfortable. And I've had youth leaders tell me before, like, "Oh, when are we going to get to the message? When are we going to get to the good stuff?" They need this time. Middle schoolers, especially, they're so shy, some of them, or they're so rambunctious and trying to be cool. They don't know what's happening yet, that we really take our time with this piece. Get them comfortable, get them having fun, get them meeting other people in their groups. And then we move into the first message of the day. And the first message of the day has to do with being a child of God. You are called as a child of God. It's a basic gospel message that our speaker will share. So the first part is a lot of hype, a lot of music, a lot of dancing, a lot of games. Then we move into the first talk. And the first talk is really trying to share the basic gospel message. Then we will have after that some more fun, some more lunch and opportunities to go to reconciliation, depending on what time that will happen at your site. And then the next big keynote time is the time where um, in, it, we invite them to see themselves as a child of God and to make a commitment to the Lord. This whole next piece, the profession portion. So we have preparation, proclamation, basic gospel message, and then profession. The entire testimony here, the entire talk and teaching is geared towards leading up to where we are going to invite them to renew their baptismal promises. And then we move into adoration, where we're asking them to make a physical response to the Lord, a public commitment. So in a lot of sites, it's where they take a little tea light candle and they come and put it on the altar. For some venues, that's not possible to do that, but they'll just light the candle. For some of them, it will be standing. If we can't do candles, it's a standing. Would you like to make a public commitment to the Lord? Because as our boss, Robert Fiducia, says that the research shows that if a young person has not made a public commitment to the Lord by the age of 14, every year after that, the likelihood that they will goes down. So we're inviting them to step out of their comfort zone. Nobody's forced to do it. Nobody's, it's a low pressure environment. There's no, expectation, but it's that invitation to respond to what God has done in your life over the course of this day in the presence of the Lord in the Eucharist. Will you commit to following him? Will you give your life to the Lord? That would be a better way. Commit to following him would be a next step, but would you give your life to the Lord? And we've had great response in this. And I can tell you, as a parent here, I've had other parents reach out to me even months after Holy Fire saying, my teen still reads their Bible. My teen is praying. My teen stopped fighting me with going to mass. And there have been really wonderful fruits that have come out of Holy Fire. And then we move into the final piece. So you had preparation, proclamation, profession, and then celebration, where we celebrate the Mass at the end. And so it's a day long, feels like we cram a lot of stuff into this one day experience. But for group leaders, we also provide a group leaders guide. So if you are already having a youth ministry for your middle school teens at your parish and you feel comfortable having small group leaders, you can do that. But if you don't do small group time or small group, there's not in the schedule a built-in small group time, but there are different breaks where you could have some time to check in with your teens, whether it's a formal small group or it's just using these questions as a guide. How is your experience going? Is it different than what you expected? We give you all those questions. What's the Lord doing in your life? How are you going to take this home? And so that's the group leader interaction. We try to help you to do that in a constructive way so that it helps to bond the group together. And then that's pretty much the day. It's a lot crammed in, but it feels like it has a lot of good flow with your spiritual high and then your come back down and process time. So that's any questions on content pieces or flow of the day or anything that I just said? Yeah, good, Teresa.
Question for the speakers, like about how long are they going to be speaking? I've gotten a couple parents ask me, like obviously the kids can't sit for 20 minutes, so I'm just wondering what that's about.
Yeah, they're about 20 minutes. But the speakers are very interactive. I will say, like myself, I tell funny stories, and then Giancarlo Bernini, who's the magician, he does magic tricks when he works those into his lessons. So everybody that's chosen to minister to these teens has a gift with middle school students. So
I just got off the phone with a parent who's like, my kid can't sit for that long, and I'm like, okay, so
there will not be very much sitting. Just tell her the whole first half of the day is dancing, basically.
Good. Okay, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I will say too, just from a programmatic content standpoint, each one of the program team members meets young people where they're at and a different young person where they're at. So when I look at Giancarlo and what he's able to do in leading young people to a fuller understanding of what a relationship with Christ looks like, it's different than what Style does, and it's different than what Noelle does and PJ does. And so I would just say, when I look at the fullness of the young person that's coming, and I look at kind of the dynamics of who responded to which speaker at different Holy Fires last year, you're going to meet every kid in a different way, right? And especially to watch some of the guys, some of our and in Dallas, some of the guys that are like totally into math and science and all that stuff, were so blown away by Giancarlo. It was the coolest thing to see, right? And so I just would say, just know it's not a one size fits all, but it's definitely something where you will have young people experience a message based on where they're at. Does that make sense? And then the question about the agenda that came up in the chat and the schedule that I was showing earlier, that schedule, and Elaine put it in the chat, that schedule is on the registration platform. So if parents are like, what does the day look like? What does the flow look like? That general schedule is there on the registration platform. And it also there is the speakers and the bio of the speakers, as well as on the front website page, there is the promo video that you can use to help showcase what the event is about. So all of those things are on the different links on the Brushfire and the Holy Fire Atlanta website proper. And then the two things that I wanted to mention earlier, Noelle was talking about the small group resources, and we will be providing that to group leaders ahead of time. So you will have the information about the different steps of the day, the content, just the descriptions of the preparation proclamation. You will have all that ahead of time, as well as the small group questions. For example, let me just show this. I thought I was doing it earlier and I was not. That's what happens when you have too many things open on your computer at the same time. So you'll get this document with the small group questions and how to process depending on what resources you have in front of you. And then again, as Noelle mentioned, each section of the day, there's specific questions that correlate to that for you to use pre and post. And then this is the other document, which is a trifold, which you'll get. So
And
just know you'll.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Nope, go.
No, I was going to say, just to add on to Teresa, with any parents that are concerned that, oh, this is a long day, this is not so much a retreat as a conference. So there is a lot of energy. We have lights, we have the full band, we have, Giancarlo is the magician, we have the DJ who's playing the dance music, and we play games. So it's a very interactive experience throughout the entire day. But we do hit those messages hard, but we come out fast and we move them to the next thing. So, and we actually really could use y'all's help, just helping to share on social media to get the word out. So I have found, even here in Oklahoma City, when we were trying to advertise, the diocese had been trying and trying and trying. And then when we got a bunch of parents to share that they were signing up their kids, then all of a sudden we went from 300 kids to almost 1,000. So.
Do you have promo stuff to download to put on social media?
Yes, if you, I believe that Elaine also has, but if you email me in Garcia@eqsaints.com, I can send you some things to post on social media also. Or you can also follow us on EQ Saints Instagram, and you can share
And
from
just
there.
repost?
Yeah, but if you want to repost, that's fine, or I can send it to you directly. If you just email me and say you'd like it, I'll send you the graphics.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions about registration or logistics or content? Yeah.
Okay, I have another question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I've had a couple calls now about, I guess they're trying to justify it's very expensive. So what is it that I can tell them that justifies the cost of it?
Annie, do you want to take that one, or do you want?
You can start with it and let me think about how I would add to it as well.
Okay. I think, well, we're bringing in full band production, lights. It's a whole experience. It's not just you're paying, $60 for a retreat in a church gym. This is like, it's cheaper than a Taylor Swift concert, but you're getting professional speakers, professional music. You're getting the opportunity to interact with kids around the whole diocese. So most of the money that comes in, it goes towards the event. There really is not, it's not going towards, padding our pockets. It really is going to funnel to put on the production and the travel and the um, professionalism of the people that we're bringing in. So that's what I would say. I mean, $60 sounds like a lot, but it's really, compared to a lot of other conferences and events, it's on the lower end for what they get in terms of the quality of production.
I just want to make sure my message is what your you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm
Yes.
not, yeah.
Totally. Elaine, what were you gonna?
It's not a weird question, but it's a hard question to get as a parent. I want to make sure that what I'm telling them is the same as. Yeah.
And I will say, if I had to pay $60 for the turn, and I did pay for my kids to go, actually, even though I was speaking and even though I worked for EQ Saints, I signed and paid for my kids, and it was worth every penny for the experiences of the Lord that they had. That was done in a way that I just couldn't do myself. Elaine, sorry, you were gonna.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, Teresa, I know because, and Noelle, you may not know this. We had a middle school event here in Atlanta. It was called Middle School Catholic Fest. It actually started as a grassroots thing with a couple of middle school youth ministers because they said there's nothing for middle schoolers. And we did it and it got big. I mean, we had like 800 people that would come to this. We haven't done it in 5 years. I think actually the last 4 years. But the archdiocese subsidized a big portion of it. So it was only $10 for kids to come. So if people remember that, although that's been 4 years, so all those middle schoolers are now gone. What I would say, Teresa, is this is to me like a one-day Steubenville, Atlanta. And Steubenville, Atlanta now is over $200 for kids to go to. And it's like a 2-day event, really. It starts Friday night and it ends at noon on Sunday. So, but it is that professional quality that we didn't have with Middle School Catholic Fest. And if they, why does it say 5 minutes left in your meeting? Um, if it, if we get kicked off, just everybody come back on. It's tell them it's in the same venue where Kamala Harris came and spoke in Atlanta. I mean, like we're paying for a beautiful venue, but you and top tier talent, to come. So
yeah, I mean, I view it as like an mini NCYC. We don't do
right
or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I have parents who their kids have been to that, but a lot of these middle schoolers parents they don't have any, I don't know, anything to compare this with. So I want to make sure that I have the right words. Do you know what I mean? That are all,
Well, tell them if they were going to pay for a private baseball lesson for their kid, they would pay more than this for like 1 hour. So there you go.
Piano lessons are $30. Come on.
Yeah.
No, but the early bird pricing, you can really emphasize with parents who are concerned about costs. Guess what? It's only $49 if you sign up before next week. But if you wait till after that, it's going to be, a little bit more. So, yeah, I think that's really, it's really hard because we are stretched financially as parents with all the things that our kids do and want to do. But if I had to sacrifice 2 piano lessons for a 1 day of Holy Fire, man, the fruits that they get from the experience, that it's only once a year, is just unbeatable, And we all know this, but trying to share this with, parents who are financially making sacrifices already is hard.
I did have another registration question about that early bird pricing. My parents love, like everyone else, to register at the last minute. And so I set it up to where I was the one inputting their information just so that I also get the information. and I wanted to, because like for like summer camp or whatever, you pick the amount of spots that you have and then it gets filled throughout the time. Um, is it possible for me to go ahead and just register several spots and then get that information later?
Yeah, so with registration, I'm about to send 2 documents, but one of them is, it's on the registration page, but it's basically all the general registration information. You can go ahead if you want to pay up front, basically, for the amount of kids. We can do it that way. You can either put their names in right away, or you can do like a temp name, and later on, when you have all the kids' information, go ahead and enter it into the system, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because
But
I
that's
saw
the
those
only,
documents, but I didn't want to mess up how I did.
yeah, that's the only way that it can be, those spots can be reserved ahead of time, and then yeah, they would be at the early bird pricing, if you went ahead and did them before next week. But that would be, they would be paid for, taken care of, all of that sort of stuff. And so then later on, after the date or whatever, you can go in and change those names.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Mhm.
So I guess going forward with some registration things, the 2 documents I just sent in the chat. So they're both going to be on the registration page. The group leader prep document, which is very good to read prior to Holy Fire, but then the registration information document. Before you go ahead and register a group, or I know some of you guys already have, but basically it's going to be all your general questions. So how to register for a group, how can I add the kids there. Once a group is registered, you will get 2 options of how you can send information to parents, so they will be registered directly to that group. So there'll be a code, and then there'll be a link directly to your group's registration. The link is the best thing to send out. If you do the code, there's steps and it can get a little confusing and frustrating. It is laid out in the document. It's very simple. It's just entering the code. However, it's just a little bit more. If you send out the link, all they have to do is click the link and they will be right there. It will say, add your youth, add your adult to that group. And then another thing that's going to be on this is payment. So the different ways to pay. I just want to point out, if you are paying by check, it has that information. It will have the address that it is sent to. So if you or any parents are paying by check, just know it will not be going out to the Diocese of Atlanta. It will be coming to EQ Saints. So that's very important, just so we don't get wires crossed or you have to end up writing another check to be sent out. And then, yeah, if you go ahead and want to go ahead and reserve your spots for the kids that you want to bring, when you go ahead to add people, you can do temp names until you have all of their information of which kids are going. And then later on, you'll be able to go ahead and change that information. There has been questions that I've received. Not sure if from any of you guys directly, but from some people of Atlanta, so I know it can be a little confusing, that they've registered, but they accidentally didn't put themselves in a group. As a group leader, if you know that happens and the parent's emailing you or whatever, let me know and I can go in and fix it. But any questions registration wise, please email me at our EQ Saints email, and that's going to be the email that's connected to all of this as well. And then you'll get a response from me. Does anybody else have any questions about registration or anything like that?
I do.
Yeah.
So if we get most of the payments ahead of time, we'll be collecting the payments and then registering as a group. If we get most of them ahead of time and then go ahead with that, and then a few more trickle in, can we go back in and add more kids?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can have each kid's parents register individually. You as a group leader can go ahead and register them all together. But what is the cutoff date, Annie? The Friday before?
I need to look at that. It's on the registration page. So are you talking about the
You can register kids, or their parents can register them up until Friday.
I don't know if it's on there, Annie, because I was looking today. Someone asked the
It should
cutoff.
be Friday, September 13th.
I don't think it says that.
It doesn't.
there's certain deadlines for certain things. So let me pull that up
Yeah.
really quick and then I can answer that question.
The lunch and the pre-order of the t-shirts is Friday, September 6th is the cutoff for that. However, you know, if you have someone that wants to join after that, they just have to bring their own lunch. It's not a big deal. And they will have shirts available for sale at the event. So
You said that we can bring a cooler, like if we plan on bringing our own lunches.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so from a
Sorry.
logistical perspective, we will be sending more information out about like parking and about like what to do with the coolers. Some of it's already in there, but just know we will be sending to you as a group leader more arrival information that's not already present. The other thing to note, as Elaine said, the deadlines are the ones where you have to guarantee something. And so for us to be able to deliver a meal to you or a guaranteed shirt size ahead of time, because like she said, we're going to have some with us, but we can't guarantee sizes on site. That deadline is, you said September 6th, Elaine, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Friday,
So-
September 6th.
So with that, but I'm going to say to you as a group leader and somebody that has worked with the sites previously, the fall of last year, that you want to get as many of them registered as upfront as possible. We can register people on site, but it's not ideal. It takes longer for them to get into the venue space. And so if you've got somebody, it's a last minute straggler, we can figure out how to do that. But we also prepare for you your group leader packet. So when you show up, we're like, here you go. Here are your wristbands. This is where you go to get your shirts. And so the more we can get all of that done up front and get all that stuff printed for you, because I will fly in on Thursday and we'll finish tweaking all that stuff, Thursday night, getting all that stuff printed out on Friday for you. And for us to be able to still manage doing registrations on site gets a little problematic. We can still do it. And so we want to get you to get as many registered, I would say by that Wednesday ahead of time. Okay. So I would just give them, if you're going to give them a deadline that Wednesday, I would just say to do that for your own sanity as a group leader. Okay.
So that Wednesday will be September the 11th.
Yep.
Should be your mental deadline.
And then the other thing to note is there is a refund and cancellation policy. So after a certain date, which on here right now, it's August 23rd. So just note after that date, there is a refund cancellation policy that's in place. Okay.
Wait, there's no refunds after the 23rd.
Correct. But you can transfer that to another child.
Okay. I have another question. So we have kids registering on their own. I'm just sending it out, asking the parents to just do it all. Will we get a report, or will we be able to log in, or how do we get our names and all of that stuff of all of our kids who are registered?
So when you log in as a group leader, it should show you.
Where do I log in as a group leader?
Teresa, have you created your group yet?
Yeah.
Okay, we can resend you that link to be able to access that information. But you should just you as whoever's email is associated with the group leader, that's who the information will go to. So that's the other important thing to know is if you are not attending the day of, but you are registering and getting the group together, you need to ensure that the person coming gets all the information that you are getting and receiving. Because we had some people, some situations in another diocese where that individual didn't get the information because they didn't pass it along. So that is one caveat I will make. And then we can always send you links again. So please don't go in and create another group because you don't see something. Check with us first and we can resend you links to be able to access that information. Okay.
So I have the email y'all sent me. I'm just trying to see. So it brings me to the registration page. That's the link that you want me to share. But what how do I go in and see the list of kids registered under my name, under my group?
I need to go on to the platform, Teresa, and look. Molly's
Okay,
probably
I'm
looking
sorry.
for
I
that
don't
too.
mean to-
No,
No,
Teresa,
I'm
it's
looking
not a
right
problem.
now.
Yeah.
From what we have collected information from our technical team that's helped build out our website. There should have been 2 emails that you received.
Okay.
One or at least links. There should have been a link you received that's specific for the group leader. It would have been immediately when you created your
Okay.
group. But I'm also going to go ahead and
Wait,
now.
hold on. I only got one email, but I think I found it. Group leader. Registering a group. It brings me to the same page over and over again. It just brings. No.
Because I thought when I went through and did like a test, I had like 2 separate logins or something. One was to manage the group, and one was to join the group or something like that.
That's what there should be.
So maybe, okay.
Hold on. Manage my group? That must be.
Yeah.
Let's look at that.
And while she's looking for that, I just want to mention that if you have some parents who are interested in taking their kids separately for whatever reason, if they say, well, I don't want to send my kid, I want to take them, they can do that. They can register themselves. And this is one thing I know I tried this too, but again, it's been a while. So, Molly, if a parent is bringing a child, they don't register as a group, do they?
If they're not coming as a group or with a specific group at the moment, no, they do not have to. We'll just have to be double checking that at least if they are coming separate, like they do at least have one adult for X amount of children.
Right. Okay. So they just register themselves as an adult, and then I think it gives them the option to add a child. Isn't that right? I think that is correct.
Yeah, and then when they check in, they would check in as a family. And so we
Yeah.
would have their stuff as a packet.
Okay. So just to let everybody know that that is also an option, which we've never allowed in the Archdiocese of Atlanta. So I am hoping this goes really well because then that means it will open it up for some other things. Teresa,
So
were you able?
a parent can stay even if they're not Virtus?
Yes.
Okay.
There will be, and the way that we are delineating that is they will have a different color wristband, as will their child, and
Okay.
we'll have a designated section for them to sit in. So that's how we are getting around safe environment, because we are treating this like a public mass. This is all Jenny Weldon. I just want y'all to know I did not make this up. I went to the director of the department. She and I have been working for months on how we can make this work. So
I love that. That's awesome.
yes.
And also, Teresa, this is much in line with everybody else on the call, so you know as well. It's in line with what NFCYM has moved to as well for NCYC, where you're able to register as a family and you just have a different credential on you that says whether you're cleared or not. So we are much in line with that. And our goal is for families to come and have an amazing experience, right?
Yeah.
For them to experience this evangelization opportunity with their young person, because they need it just as much as their young person does. So
I love that. That's awesome. And yes, so I was able to go. So I went to the regular registration page and hit manage my group. And then I think what I didn't do in the past was it said, send me a link. So then it sent me a link, and then it says access your events. And then I can see I only have one so far, but I can see my kid, another person's kid signed up under me, which is awesome, which will help me get them there. So, okay, awesome.
And then the other thing to note with that too, as well, Teresa, is if for some reason you have somebody that says, hey, I registered my young person, registered my child, they're not on the group, email us with that name. We can check. We can then place them in the appropriate group. We just need to make sure we have the right permissions, right? So that the parent has said, this is what I need to do, or I didn't do something correctly, we can take care of that for you so
Okay.
you don't have to worry about it, okay?
Perfect. Thank you.
And then as far as paperwork is concerned, safe environment processes, release forms, all those kinds of things, the Archdiocese of Atlanta is the oversight for that. So if you have questions about that specific part of the process, Elaine can help answer those. And if you have any questions about that, let us know. And then Michelle, you had a question. If the parents choose to stay, do they need to register and pay as well? If a parent gets there the day of, we can register them. Like if they all of a sudden are like, hey, I want to stay, we will figure that out and we'll get them the appropriate wristbands. We'll work with the lane. So we don't want to turn anybody away. We will figure it out. They just need to be patient with us because we have to go through the platform in order to do that correctly. Okay. And we appreciate the registration questions because it gets us back in Holy Fire registration mode and, because we have other responsibilities too. So these are good questions. So keep asking them.
So the parents do need to register and pay beforehand if they're able. Like we do want them to register. And Elaine, do they need to do the typical paperwork like a medical release and then the adult? What would a parent that wants to go with their child? What are the forms that they need to fill out?
So as part of the registration, Molly, correct me if I'm wrong, as part of the registration, when you go on to register, there is there's a release form. So if you're an adult, there's one every adult has to fill one out and every child has to fill one out.
Okay.
So that's it. And you can do it online as part of the registration and it automatically gets submitted.
So
Okay.
Just to show you, Christine, part of the links that Molly sent earlier is going to take you to a Brushfire page that looks like this. And so you would click on register. I'm going to go through this just quickly so you can see it. You have to decide how you're going to register them. So that's why I'm flying through that portion of it. Then when you get to this section, there's contact information for you as the registering party, transportation plans, and then here you're going to see consent forms and liability waivers. And the links, you're going to see adult supervision and clearances information. So go ahead. That's why we want you to go ahead and get on the page, look at it. You can see the language that's provided there as far as what's expected of those different things so you can get all that information. Okay.
Okay. Because I had registered as a group. My parish is very tiny, so I've been collecting their forms and payment. So I wasn't just going to input all that for them. Is that correct? Can I do that?
So you'll input the registration piece on Brushfire for us and then follow the instructions for submission of the forms for the Archdiocese, which are you need to do the JOT form for adult and minors online via the links that are provided. So it's two separate registration processes is the easiest way to explain it. The registration purchase for the event to be able to attend is through Brushfire and through EQ Saints. Then the release forms and the safe environment documentation is done through the Archdiocese.
Okay.
But yeah, you want to collect all the information beforehand. You as a group leader can do that and then enter it in manually yourself.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
So you
Christine,
don't have
let
to,
me.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to ask a question. So you are doing that. Have you collected permission slips for your kids?
For the most of them, yes.
Okay, so instead of having the parents go and do those online, if it's easier, if you can just scan them and email them to me,
Okay.
I will make sure that I have them. Is that fine, Annie and Molly? Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I don't want the parents to have to do that. Yeah.
And one of the reasons, just so y'all know, is that the Archdiocese is the one that holds that information. It's not something that EQ Saints holds, nor do we want the oversight of holding that. We want that to stay within your own Archdiocese. So that's why there's the differentiation, because we'll be in 9 different cities this fall doing offering Holy Fire. So we just want to make sure it stays clean and with the host diocese.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions?
Okay, I'm sorry, someone was knocking on my door. But so every teen and every parent has to fill out this jot form and in order for them to participate?
No, only the parents if they are going. So you're right.
Adults.
So you're adult
if they're-
chaperones. So if you're bringing 2 other adult chaperones, the 3 adults that are going with your group need to fill that out.
But every kid needs to fill this out.
Right. But it's the
if they have-
parents.
Yeah. If they have no insurance, do they just hit NA?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. I do have kids who have no insurance.
After working in the Diocese of Dallas, just leave it blank. Like it just,
Well,
it's a pastoral thing. But what I would make sure is that you've got, in those
required.
cases, Teresa, I would make sure that you've got contact information. So if it does say required, put NA, but just make sure you've got contact information for the parents.
Oh, I always do.
Do you get supplemental insurance, Teresa?
Only for mission trip, but otherwise not for our retreats or any of that stuff.
So you just get it for a one-time use? Because I always got it for an annual thing when I was at STM. Okay, but you know what? I'm just going to check because I think possibly through Catholic Mutual we may have something. I'm gonna find out. But
okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, it's required. So okay.
Yeah. So then just put in NA.
Okay. Sorry, I'm asking so many questions.
No,
It's
Teresa,
okay.
this is great.
And if y'all have any questions or something comes to you from a parent that you aren't sure how to answer, feel free to email us anytime. I mean, we're happy to help with those responses and hopefully get them to share and get all these seats filled.
Yes.
And I will say from an experience perspective, being able to watch this impact young people's lives has just been such a gift because I've had over 25 years in paid professional ministry before I even came to EQ Saints. And my passion area was middle school and walking with middle school young people. And I just think this is such an amazing way to introduce them, if they haven't been introduced, right, in a really profound way, to a relationship with Jesus. And I think it's just such a neat way to meet introverts and extroverts where they're at. And as a huge introvert who just needs to kind of take stuff in and process, we give them the space to do that, right? But if you've got the middle schooler that's like, I can't sit still, we meet them where they're at. And I think that's the blessing of this team because we all are coming from different perspectives, you know what I mean? And we all like to people differently. I mean, I after I get done with check-in, I'm gonna be like, okay, I need just a hot minute to like like regroup. Whereas Robert's like, who else can I meet and who else can I talk to? And you're gonna love him. But so just know it is something that we are super excited about. Please share that excitement with the parents and just I think this is one of those opportunities too, and Noelle, you can speak into this, that it's still like they're not quite at the age where they're like, mom and dad don't come, right? But they're still at the age where they're like, mom and dad come. And I think this is just a really unique opportunity for that faith conversation. So Noelle, do you want to add anything to that?
No, just I think you guys are doing a great job. Thank you for being part of this mission and outreach to middle school students within your diocese. Thanks for letting us be a part of that. And we are happy to help support you however we can.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions? Switch to the other page. Doesn't.
Well, you will meet Molly and I at check-in at registration. So please do say hi and just say, I've met you before. And you're going to be surprisingly shocked at how short I am. So just to give you that heads up. But we're really excited and just
you look much taller online.
Yeah. In Texas, I tell people I'm 5 and a spit. So like I'm just over 5 feet. So but just know we've loved working with Elaine and the team on this, and we just can't wait to meet you guys and just journey with you guys and support y'all and just the wonderful work you're doing.
Yeah. And next year it'll be so much easier because we'll all have gone through it once. So we'll just hunker down for this year. But All right. Well, thank you all for being on the call. If anyone, oh, Teresa, you have something else?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
just for you, Elaine, you said you needed some high schoolers?
Yeah,
Any specific age? Just doesn't matter, any high school?
doesn't matter.
Okay.
And Robert Fiducia will have a call with them. They use a couple of high schoolers to kind of pep up the crowd in the beginning. So you need
Like
outgoing
crazy
high
high schoolers?
schoolers,
Okay.
and only two. He will do a short testimony, and I can't remember if any of you guys remember. There were two questions that,
Yep.
like,
Give me 1 second and I will
yeah,
put that in there. And that is something that we are able to meet and work with them on. So
yeah,
just give me 1 second to pull that forward.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's why does a good kid need God? And
Yep.
then I was lost, but now I'm found.
Thanks, thanks, Noah.
Yeah. And Robert will also work with them on, on their testimony. But we would like to have, I think, 4 to 6 kids total, and only 2 of them will do that. And then the others, like, they will read at Mass. So we do have Bishop John is going to come at the very beginning. He will come and welcome everybody that's there. And then we have Father Tim Hepburn, who is going to be saying Mass for us at the end. So there is a closing Mass, the Vigil Mass, and there is a time of adoration. So, and confession. So they'll be hitting a bunch of sacraments, nice encounters with Jesus, and Father Tim is really excited to be there. We're really happy to have him. He just loves young people, So.
And the whole program team is super excited to be with y'all. So just so you know, they're just super excited as well. So
Elaine, all these docs that are like all these links, is there a way for us to get those once we get off this call that are in this chat?
I believe, yes, all of them are on that landing page, which I can send you. That
Holy
was
Fire?
the Holy Fire page.
Oh, all right, I can get them from there.
Yeah, so where it says EQ Saints Holy Fire, when you click on that, I think if you hit the register now, it's not, it's really a an information page.
Like the group leader prep docs and all that stuff is
Yeah.
on there?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
those are in bright red under, if you click details,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, bright blue, right at the top right here.
Yeah, so those
Oh.
are actual links. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Group
awesome.
leader
Okay,
steps
perfect.
and registering. Yeah. And then if you scroll down, the schedule is there.
Okay, awesome.
Just keep scrolling down. There's lots of information.
Perfect.
precursory stuff about bags and coolers. So please note the backpack and the clear bag policy, because that is different than other sites because of the fact that we're at a university. So please make sure you do pay attention to that piece of it. Okay. And that we're encouraging in here for young people to not bring excess stuff with them.
Yeah.
If they've got different things that they need to bring stuff, they need to coordinate that with their adult leader.
Yeah, honestly, there shouldn't be a need for the kids to have to bring in a bag. Even
Some girls might need something.
Yeah, well, but even if they need some female things, perhaps their group leader can hold it for them. The other thing just to know, we are telling parents if a parent is coming with their child, that they need to stay with their child. So if a mom is there with their middle schooler and the middle schooler has to go to the bathroom, the mom needs to go with them. They can't just let them go. So I just want everybody to know that it's another way to keep everybody safe. But if we get volunteers, which we do, we need volunteers. So if anyone's just, just wants to hang out with a bunch of middle schoolers, we are going to have people at the bathrooms because they're middle schoolers. So,
and then the other
thing,
yes. And then the other thing that's going to be in the information to come is about parking. And so if you see anywhere that there's a home football game, we've already addressed that with the parking and with the buses and cars and everything. So just know you will get that information. Elaine has taken care of that,
Mhm.
and you'll get information about that. Okay.
Yeah. So there is a home Georgia State game that day, but our thing starts way before Georgia State's game, and I can walk to the convocation center. Um, it's not really a big tailgating school. It's not UGA. So it's not like people are going to be out there at 8 a.m. And our thing doors open at 8:30. And so the game will either be at like 3 or 6. So I don't think like never the two shall mix because I don't think we're going to be there at the same time. But right next to the convocation center, there is this beautiful brand new parking deck, and we have reserved 400 spots in that deck. And there's a separate place for buses. So if somebody like Holy Trinity is talking about bringing a bus and maybe getting some other people, if they can't fill it, some other parishes from the south side, there'll be separate parking for the buses. So there will be plenty of parking, and you can walk right from that parking deck. You never even have to cross the street. There is a little covered walkway that goes from the parking deck right to the doorway. No kids need to run anywhere outside of there. So
So we have talked through it all. We've thought through it all. We just want you to come in and are excited for you to come. So
yeah, and enjoy. Okay, well, if anyone has any other questions, you can email me. And if I don't know, I will email one of these three beautiful ladies to answer these questions for us. But we are all really excited. And like I said, I know the first year is always the hardest because we're all trying to figure it out. But once we get this down, we got it down, and then it'll be happening every year. And I'm really happy to have something to offer our middle schoolers because, as Noelle said, it's just a tough age range where there's just not a lot for them. So let's give them something great that they can come to.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, have a wonderful afternoon, and I hope to see you all soon.